What is up, everybody? It is I, Carlton Flowers, your crypto pro.
Yay!
And tonight, I am in the studio and we're going to do a follow-up to my first two mobile videos. And thank you to everybody for all of the tremendous feedback that you gave me on my idea to shoot raw video and get my thoughts out of my mind and put content up while I'm thinking about it, while I'm out on the road, while I'm in the body shop, or wherever I might be. And I definitely will keep that up. So thank you so much for all of the good feedback that you gave. Now, just in case, I will say that this is definitely not financial advice. And anything I say in this video can cause you to become a homeless bum living on the side of the river out of a cardboard box.
Aye!
Okay, so in continuation of the topic centered around fiat currency and how the government prints a ton of money and then how that relates to crypto and the greatest transfer of wealth in history of mankind, we're going to continue on with that. And then I'm going to jump in and we're going to do something new. I'm going to read the comments, the best comments, and give some answers right here on the video to some of these great comments so I don't have to type a super long answer. So the topic was the United States, the Federal Reserve Bank, which is not federal, which is not a bank and has no reserve, that gives money or invents money, creates a keystroke for whatever reason, and tells the U.S. Treasury when they need to borrow some non-existent money, they type that into a computer and send to the Treasury, which sends it to the member banks to disperse those funds where they need to go. And so I have long since been talking about how we've had this long-running meme. It's a meme about how cryptocurrency is going to be the greatest wealth transfer in the history of mankind, and that's bunk. It's just not going to happen. And it's kind of funny because what is wealth? First of all, people hoard money or currency, USD, which is not wealth. Wealth is something that increases value or is a store of value. Gold, stocks, dividends. Cryptocurrency can represent wealth. And so people think that the richest people in the United States are going to become the poor, and then the poor folks who invest into crypto right now, they're going to be multi-bajillionaires in the future, and everybody at BlackRock is going to be living on the side of the road eating government cheese. So it's just not going to happen. And as I mentioned in the last video, number one, these investment firms aren't stupid. They're ahead of you. Not only are they ahead of you in buying Bitcoin, they're also manipulating the market, and they're stealing your money right out of your pocket because they know how you, as a retail investor, how you react emotionally. And they play you and manipulate you for your emotions, just like they do the stock market. And the only way you can win against that is to hold for the long term. If you're trying to trade, you're not going to win that battle against the professionals that work at institutional investment firms. It's just not going to happen. So we might be able to level up because honestly, that's why everybody's here. We're not in crypto because we love it. I love the concept, the idea, the technology, the internet aspect of it, blockchain. But really, I'm here for money because I'm trying to level up. It's not because I love crypto. And the majority of everyone in this space, probably 95, 99%, we're here because of the come up. We're trying to invest like you would on the stock market and then 10 years later be financially free. That's why we're here. And so you got like George, hello everyone, I am George, we're all George. He claims that Bitcoin represents freedom. Well, it doesn't really, because you can invest in the stock market and have the same amount of gains. And unless you invested in Bitcoin when you first knew about it, when it was $1, there's other things that you could invest in that'll probably give you the same return if you had bought Bitcoin right now because, of course we have all the fat mouths out there who say, oh, Bitcoin's going to be 10 million in 5 years. And then now some nitwit is saying it's going to be 60 million a coin. I don't believe any of that. None of it. And the only way that you would see that happen is if we parabolically increase the U.S. currency supply. Okay, that's the only way that it can happen. And so if Bitcoin hits 1 million, because we're going to start to print in the quadrillions of dollars. By the way, there's so many people that I see saying quadrillion, and that's not a word. I'm going to look up on here to make sure I'm right. Quadrillion. Yeah, all right. Quadrillion. Yeah, 1,000 raised to the power of 5, 10 to the 15th. It's straight out of the dictionary. I'm going to see if there is such a word as quadrillion, because quadrillion comes after, is it 100 trillion or 1,000 trillion? I think it's 1,000 trillion, and I was correct about that. 1,000 trillion makes a quadrillion, all right? Now, quadrillion, there is no such word. It's just like conversate. I can't stand how the new generation has turned conversate into a word. You either converse or you have a conversation, okay? So the same with this quadrillion. It ain't quadrillion. Get it right. All right, so let's say the U.S. starts printing money into the quadrillions, all right? And Bitcoin hits 1 million or 5 million or 10 million. What does that really mean? It doesn't mean anything because it's going to hold the same value that it does right now today, okay? You're going to have the same buying power, all right? So let's say you get a full-time job as an engineer like me, okay? When I got my first job out of school, my starting salary for the Missouri Department of Transportation was $23,500. And then I left within 4 months to the Department of Natural Resources where my pay was at $27,500. When I retired after 30 years of working for the state, I retired with a salary at like 51 and change, where I had slightly less buying power comparatively than what I did as a graduate just coming out of school, which is pretty sad, okay? So that 27,000 became about 52,000. So all of my raises were just barely keeping up with the cost of living. So if you're saving money in the bank, you're going to lose it because you're not going to keep up with the cost of living when you're getting 0.5% on a CD and the inflation rate is 5-6%. Okay, so if you continue to debase the US dollar, then the price of Bitcoin goes up, but its value stays the same. Why is it that people don't understand that? It's not going to be we're going to wake up someday and Bitcoin's going to be so much more valuable. If it goes parabolic, it means that, okay, we're all placing value on it, but it's probably going to be due to the destruction of the dollar because we've had long enough where people understand what it is and all the investment firms are already on top of this. And that's why I'm skeptical about all of these grandiose predictions about $5 million Bitcoin in 5 years. All we have to do is think back to John McAfee and what he said if Bitcoin didn't hit, what did he say? It was supposed to hit 1 million by 2020. We won't even talk about what his promise was. If you don't know what it was, Google it because it's slightly not appropriate. Okay, so I believe that cryptocurrency, well, really Bitcoin can be an equalizer. Caspa can be an equalizer. Since it is proof of work and since it is more spendable, has a higher token count, it's not like Ethereum. So certain coins that are meant to hold value or hold value and spend, I think you're going to be able to store, you'll be able to leverage yourself. You'll be able to lever up. Like let's say, for instance, with Caspa, because I scrape the web for legit projects all the time till all hours of the night. I even have a group on Telegram with a method. I have my own methodology from my research group. It's the Crypto Pro Research Group. And I found Caspa using the methodology in the research group. And when I found it, it was at 0.0015 of a cent. So I had started out, I bought 20,000, bought another 20, then bought another 20. I sold it all at like 0.006, and then it went down and back to, I think, 0.0027, and then it started to shoot up. And I thought, okay, I better stop swing trading it. Like I would buy and sell every few weeks. And at 0.004, I just went ahead and got 100,000. So I took the gains of what I made buying in at 0.0015, and I think I spent $400 on the 100,000. So since I was using that methodology and I was super early on, that's how I can leverage myself, that once Caspa hits the bull run, that I can have a come up, okay? But all I'm doing is riding the bandwagon, which I guess the new generation calls that grifting. You're a grifter. That's another word that kind of triggers me. I'm tired of people using that word. I'm tired of it. And there's a certain person, I'm not going to mention any names, who is a YouTuber, that I can't watch this individual's videos anymore because this individual overuses that term so much that it makes no sense. Because in this individual's opinion, everybody else in the whole wide world, oh, well, they're all grifters, but we're not. Okay? We're doing the same thing that this individual is accusing the grifters of doing. So that to me is just, it's just kind of dumb. Okay, so back to the topic of money printing and the fact that I think that Bitcoin holds its value and the price goes up. All right. It's not that the value is going up, because we'll never be able to tell. You've got a complex system of where you have an equation that has two variables instead of one. All right. Think about this equation. X plus 4 equals 8. What is X equal to? It's 2. That's a linear equation. X is equal to 2. So on a chart, X equals 2 draws a horizontal line through the number 2 on the x-axis. That's easy. But now what if I told you y is equal to mx plus b, and the slope was 1/2, and the y-intercept was -4? Well, now you're going to have a parabola. Okay, so that's a lot more complex than a straight vertical line. Now, if I told you that I had two variables within one equation, you're going to get into differential equations. And the math buffs, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Think of it this way. When you're talking Forex trading, which I despise Forex and I'll never get into it, you can't really easily jump into Forex without quickly realizing that you're dealing with a multiple order equation. Here's what I mean. Let's say dollar is stable. Euro goes up. Well, it's more expensive. Then it goes down. Now it's cheaper. Well, buy it. But what if while euro is going up and down, dollar is doing this? Okay, and it's moving around while the euro is going up and down. Now we don't have a stable coin, USD, $1, how many euros? And so the value of the dollar is changing in terms of the euro, and the euro is changing in terms of the franc, and the franc is changing in terms of the dollar, and the dollar has a different value and exchange rate to the franc and the euro. You've got a multiple order equation. You have multiple unknowns. So it's like a differential equation. Well, we think that USDT is a stable coin and it's always a dollar, but it isn't, because that $1 does not buy you the same value every day. Much in the same way that my 27,000 back then, okay, coming to fast forward to today, 30 years later, I'm at 51,500, but it wasn't a stable USD. First of all, it went down by half. Second of all, it didn't even keep up with the rate of inflation. So we have one rate of inflation. We have a rate of devaluation of the dollar from the money supply increasing. So now we have a multiple order equation. It's not linear. Okay? That's what people don't think about as you get into this frenzied Bitcoin is going to the moon argument. Now, one of these days, I'm going to show you my Bitcoin value charts, and that's going to be where you're going to look at certain top altcoins priced through Bitcoin. So you're going to look at the value of Ethereum through the lens of Bitcoin. And it gets interesting, and it's going to show you where you should either buy Bitcoin or you should buy Ethereum based on the relative value in terms of Bitcoin and not the dollar. Do you understand why this gets so complex? Post in the comments below. Okay, enough of me twisting your brains. I'm going to go straight to the comments on the previous video and answer some questions because they were very, very good. And I want to start out with one that was given to me. Let me see here. I got to pull it up. Okay, so Archangel, I'm going to start out with your question. And Archangel's question was, so what happens when the debt is so high that the interest owed cannot be paid by taxes? First of all, we don't pay the debt by taxes. We don't. It's never going to be paid because it's a debt. Do you understand that? If we're printing currency, and what did I tell you all on that last video? I told you that what was written on this $50 bill, I told you that it says on the face, this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. Okay? So when we print money, we're digging a hole. We're not going to get a gold bar because this is back to nothing. This is an IOU. It started out as an IOU when the U.S. Treasury wrote a bond, and then the Federal Reserve created this 50 out of nothing. So this is a hole in the ground. All right? So your question, what happens when the debt is so high that the interest owed cannot be paid by taxes? Well, that's not a question you could answer. All right? Because you're starting out with the fallacy that you're thinking money and it's not money, it's currency. It is already a debt, and they can create as much as they want. They can dig the hole as deep as they want because they're making it up out of thin air. And then you're also forgetting the whole premise of this tax thing. What did I say in the last video? Or here, let me just put it in simple terms. You're on an island. We got 10 people. We're going to start with $10. I'm going to give everybody $1, and I'm going to say, hey, keep this for a year, pay me back with 10% interest at the end of the year. If there's only $10 in circulation, where does the interest come from? So if the Federal Reserve is creating money out of thin air and dispersing it throughout the economy, and then we have to pay taxes, where does the interest come from? To pay back when the government prints money, when they borrow and promise to pay it back with interest? Do you see how much of a boondoggle and a scam this is? There's never any intention. It's game. They're just fooling you into thinking that there's some value to this while they are in complete control. All right. So paid by printing more, they don't care. Didn't we see this play out in Germany and many other countries where the inflation runs away and destroys the economy? Yes, it did. But my answer is they don't intend to pay off the debt. And the reason why the dollar is not going to zero is because we create a false sense of value of the dollar through taxing the American people and making us work and struggle to make ends meet to pay those federal taxes and state taxes that have to come out of nowhere. And so that makes us fight for our dollars that we have, which puts demand on the dollar. Okay? That's number one. Number two, the United States has the ability to make everyone else play the game. Okay? As I mentioned in the answer on this post, I said that we have 750 military bases around the world. And before I continue with that, your answer questioning me was, if you're saying that the USA will use force via military for other countries to pay USA way or face military consequences, then we are in a new paradigm and things will become quite unstable. That's not true. Not sure this is a workable solution as the debt is going parabolic. Well, it isn't, because it ain't going to happen, and that's not why the bases are there. The United States is not necessarily an aggressor nation. Now, we won't get into the fact that we stick our noses into things and start wars when we shouldn't. But in general, no, we're not an aggressor nation. The bases are there to protect Japan. Japan wants the base there. We're not there by force. You know, you go to Manila, Spain. You go to Germany, the bases in Germany, the bases in, Timbuktu. It's there for protection. And so Japan's not going to say, you know what, United States, we're not playing by your rules anymore, and we're not going to use the dollar standard. Well, guess what? This military base is going to leave. You want protection, you play our game and use the dollar standard, is basically what they're saying. Okay? So no, they're not forcing people, even though in history, you need to watch the Ray Dalio video that I put in the link. All right, moving right along. I don't even know how long I've been talking, but this is good stuff. So I'm going to finish this up and get through a few more questions, and we'll do part 2 tomorrow. Let's see here. There was some really, really good ones. Carl had mentioned Read the Creature from the Jekyll Island by Edward Gibbons. Good book. So I'm going to tell my kids to read that book. I think I've read that book, and I can't remember what it was about. So I need to dig it back out and look at that again. Let's see what other questions that we had. Let me go back to the first video. There was so many good comments, and this one has gone on long enough. I think we hit a lot of good things. Superstars are in the house. Yay! What's up, superstars? Let me go ahead and throw some love on that one. He likes my new format. Goodness gracious. We're going to have to do a part 2 where I'm going to go through more questions. But before we end this one, I do have to give some recognition for my greatest supporters in the whole wide world. First, we have, where is my, hang on a second. I need the cash register. So I'm not being fancy. I'm actually playing these sounds as we go because I'm not wanting to edit because I'm just going to get this video out there. So I'm going to have to go ahead and open up the folder. Where's my folder? There it is right there. So I can get the cash register so I can give this recognition from my peeps because I thought I had it on my soundboard and I don't. All right, there we go. So first we had South 97 North. I always forget the 97 with the super thanks of $10. Delayed reaction. Let's try that again. With a super thanks of $10. Yeah, okay, that's a lot better. Thank you very much, South 97 North. I'm going to work for that. And then, of course, we also had Jeffrey Byron Dennis, my brother Jeffrey, with the super thanks of $10. Thank you so much for always being such a great supporter. I think that is the last chew that we had on the last video, the video before last. So I'm going to get to more of the questions, and I got more controversial stuff for y'all than what you can even imagine. And like I said, throw some topics out there. I will hit them, okay? I will hit them. But I enjoy this, and tomorrow I'll probably be throwing up a video from the smartphone out at the shop. Give you a couple 10-minute rants on different topics. As soon as they enter my mind and I get pumped up about them, I'm going to shoot them. And then please look forward for some Bitcoin TA, some Caspa TA, and also some more trolling of the cringe crypto content creators. We are going to call them the C4s, the cringe crypto content creators. All right. Okay, so I think we've hit enough. Let me look on my soundboard. Where is my... Well, we'll do a drum roll while I'm looking for it. And I found it. Okay, so anyway, that is all we have for now. But I would love it if you would like, comment, and subscribe to the Crypto Pro channel. And if you would like to help me defray these ugly costs of producing this content, you may do so like Jeffrey Byron Dennis, like South 97 North, with the giving of a super thanks. And I definitely thank you in advance. Okay, so with that, this is Carlton, and I am out.